This is the Amp Hour Podcast, released February 13th, 2023, episode 619, Super Tecmo Bug.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
What's
Are
up,
you
Ed?
ready to football? Who cares about football? We're recording this during the Super Bowl. I don't think anyone cares.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
I thought you were kind of into that, no?
No,
You played
I'm
football, didn't
into Premier League. I'm into. I played soccer. American
really?
soccer.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought you played
No.
footy.
Have you seen my body type? I would get
yeah,
literally
I know.
crunched. Like,
Right,
I would just, I'd literally snap like a stick. No,
tall
I played
gangly
soccer.
kind of.
I played soccer.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that is my preferred sport. That's if any of the sports that I actively watch, I will watch Premier League highlights, and that's about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I hope I don't get sucked into the soccer coaching again this week.
Oh yeah, I forgot you do that.
It's tryouts. Yeah.
Oh, it's tryouts. So that's big deal.
Okay,
Big deal.
And at the end of the tryouts, when they sort out the teams, that's whenever they grab all the parents around and they go, "Well, who wants to be a coach?
Anyone, please."
And it's like I can remember the first time I did it. It's like, we're all standing there and everyone's heads just go look down, and then and then I could see all the eyes darting towards me because I was the only one who looked like fit and he could like play and like do some stuff, everyone else is like, and so all the eyes, and I just went, "It's me, isn't it?" And everyone went, "Yeah."
Oh man.
So
I just got to keep your mouth shut next time, man.
Yeah, well, it was it was obvious. Like it looked like all the others couldn't, actually run around.
Maybe that's a second or third career here. First career electronics, second career podcasting / video, I guess, and third career professional soccer coach.
Yeah, well, I guess the AI is going to take my job, so I might as well.
I mean, right?
Might as well change. Yeah, exactly.
Boy. Yeah.
I'll link it in. Actually, just before this, I watched Thunderfoot's video on AI.
Oh,
he just released a video because he's a fellow debunker YouTuber.
Sure.
For those who don't know him, and does science. He's a physicist. He's a chemist. And does lots of cool science videos and stuff. Anyway, his video is really good on the topic, and he said, it's basically the AI, the Chat GPT will dominate the YouTube attention thing. It already is. I've actually done a video on this because it's all about attention span, and it's good enough to get people's attention. There's all these channels that are all generated by AI now. It's like and they get hundreds of thousands of views per video. Some even get millions of views per video. And it's like,
Dave, do they have that feeling in their heart that they've done something good with their day?
They're just cold, cold hard silicon.
I'm back and forth on the usefulness of this, at least the current generation of stuff. Some days I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And other days like last night I was watching a movie. And I was like, this is so I was watching Dunkirk. I still have not watched Dunkirk.
Right.
And it was like a World War II movie about the troops. And I was just kind of curious about like percentages of like populations that had died during wars, right? Kind of a gruesome topic, but I just was like, oh, that's a good like Chat GPT thing. But it's just like the way that it spit it out was just like so, I don't know, like so
non-human.
Rigid. And, yeah, exactly. And I'm sure it's going to get better, but I just,
Right.
I'm sure it's going to be a big deal a lot of places, but I think my interest has like ebbed and flowed quite a bit. Obviously interested.
Well,
but then
I am actually paying for it now. I signed up to the paid.
You are? Oh, interesting.
Signed up to the paid Chat GPT thing. So I want to get into using it more. So you pay per query now.
Oh, interesting.
And this is how it's going to work, right? It's going to be like, it is not going to be, well, you can do it Bing because Microsoft just had their huge announcement, right? Where they're going to integrate Chat GPT into Bing, of course, because essentially Microsoft own OpenAI now because they poured $10 billion in. They're going to own 49% of the company. after they've paid back the $10 billion investment, etc. And so they're going to integrate all that now. So we're going to have conversational search, which is going to be absolute killer. And then did you see that Google put out their response? They had their
yeah.
they had
They like
their
popped.
demo day or whatever it was. I don't know what it's called, but and it didn't work. Basically, it failed. And then their market cap dropped $100 billion
Yeah,
because
I mean
their
that's
demo
the
failed.
percentage went
Oh
lower
yeah,
too, right? That's
but still, right?
but still, sure,
Technically,
sure.
it dropped $100 billion because they failed at this demo. It's like, wow,
Yeah,
really?
that is that's
Yeah.
high pressure demos. Yeah, I
Yep.
got some demos coming up at Embedded World, and I don't think they're going to have that much impact. I hope they do, but I don't think $100 billion worth of impact.
Well,
So
you can ask ChatGPT, how can I have a
yeah, right,
greater impact
right,
at the
sparkling demo. Yeah,
right? Yep.
yeah.
Anyway, there you go. Nah, enough about AI rubbish.
Sure.
Yeah, no.
I have been laser cutting like a fool before these demos, and I continue to be amazed at the availability. I don't know. Have you ever done like laser cut services? I think I've mentioned it on the show before, at least last time I was doing it.
No. Well,
It is
not on my own. No.
okay. It is so insanely easy. Like, well, I'll caveat that with it is so insanely easy if you've used like the vector art program before. So like
Oh yes,
Inkscape
exactly. Yep.
or what is the .ai file ones. Sorry, we wouldn't say AI anymore. But
that's the Adobe
Illustrator.
Adobe Illustrator. That's it.
Yeah. So and I think there's other vector programs too. But like once you do that, you just like literally like you just put different colors for what you want it to be in, like either like an edge cut or a like an etching or a line cut. And it's just like so simple. It's really
right.
I know I'm like 15 years behind the ball here, but just like the availability.
Is this a local maker or is this China?
This is actually U.S. based, but it's Pinocchio. And Pinocchio's been around for a while.
Yeah, I don't think we have that here. I'm not sure what our local. I'm sure we've probably got a local.
I mean, you could ship it from anywhere, and all of the PCB houses are doing it too, right? They all are doing 3D printing now, and like that's so cheap too. It's crazy cheap. I was on one of the Chinese PCB houses, and just like you put in like a model that you have, and it's insane how fast and how cheap it is to get stuff 3D printed. To the point where it's like, why do I even have a 3D printer? I know I have a 3D printer here, but
it's almost to the point, why even have your own gear? It's just.
I mean, it's even well. How about this? I just also got some. I'm in demo season, right? So I'm building all these different demos, and I'm getting like these custom cut cases, right? So off the shelf cases, and I talked to the manufacturer, and I'm like, hey, can you I sent them a drawing, and I'm like, can you cut out this part of the case because I want to put something in there? No, yeah, that's fine. And then and they. I asked them for the STL of like the modified drawing that they did, and they're like, no, that's proprietary.
Of course.
I can't send that to you. Oh, okay. Well, why? I'm thinking. I didn't respond. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. It's your business. That's fine. Whatever. I was like, why would they do that? And then literally like 2 days later, I'm like on this site, and I'm trying to figure out like, oh, well, I wonder how much it would cost to like do this. To like get a case printed, to like print my own case. And I was like, oh, actually I have a 3D printed case model from off the website. I could just use that.
You could just,
and I'm like, oh, actually that's their design. Yeah, I shouldn't use that. But that right there was the explanation of like why it's
although it's not going to come out the same because we're talking about a stamped case as opposed to like an
injection molded
versus a 3D one.
But it's getting there, and then you look at all the finishing options too, and you can just. I wish I was better at 3D modeling, honestly, because if you're good at 3D modeling these days, like we talked about with like the prompt engineering, right, that kind of thing. If you're just good at like modeling a shape, it is amazing what you can get made these days. Like just with the click of a button, it's literally unbelievable. It's I gave a talk. I don't think it actually was re-released through Hackaday yet, but at SuperCon this year, I gave a talk about the One Engineer Dev Shop, and it was kind of based around this idea of just like the availability of services and how much you could pump out without needing to have all of the people you need to have in like a vertical engineering company in the past.
Exactly.
And it's not like you couldn't scale it the same way. You couldn't scale it to the same like production way levels, but like that prototype, you can do so much with that prototype versus what you've been able to do in the past.
Yeah. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. All I got to do is dream. And then,
and have the 3D skills
ChatGPT
to do
will
it.
write the
Yeah.
and ChatGPT will write the copy then at the end.
Good stuff. Oh boy.
Yeah. Yep.
I've been dealing with bugs.
Yeah. Like
In
real bugs?
yeah,
Australia, those are formidable.
right. You will eat the bugs. You will eat the bugs. You will buy your $20,000 oscilloscope and eat the bugs. So, anyway, I've been playing with the latest Roden Schwartz
Oh, okay.
MX04 scope. I've been doing a video. I'm editing the video right now, and it's long. But yeah, I've been I've been on a like a bug hunting session for them.
Yeah.
It's just,
Really?
yeah.
What's
Things
the
locking
behavior?
up on me. It's doing all sorts of stuff. Yeah, the latest one is it actually locks up just using the horizontal control. So all I'm doing is the horizontal control, and I can get it to lock. I can get it into a mode where I can lock it up, and it's reproducible, and it's like. So I made a video of it showing them, and they go, "Holy shit!" And this is in addition to one that I did a couple of months back, where I also got it to lock up in a UART decoding mode. And I think it was a pretty obscure thing that I was doing, and it turns out I might have even mentioned on here that it was the baud rate. Changing the baud rate too quickly caused it to lock up, caused the sampling subsystem to lock up. And it's like, I thought, okay, that's a pretty obscure bug. And now I got it to do it again, just using the horizontal sweep control. And it's like, geez, I'm good. It's like, I feel kind of chuffed when I actually find these bugs, And but it leads me to think that, these scopes are so ridiculously impressive in terms of the capabilities that they have. Like, I don't know how many lines of code would be in this thing, but it's insane.
Yeah, it runs as much as that's a good measure too, right? I mean, like,
I just
like
don't
it's
know
one
how
way to benchmark for sure. Yeah.
But
Right.
I'm
but some of those
suspecting
teams they run pretty lean actually, which is surprising.
Oh,
like
yeah.
So they might have like a common chipset, right, that was designed 5 years ago that is like bleeding edge, of course. But then you think about like the embedded teams, those are not. You really think about the embedded and then all the software on top of it as well, and it's just like. Those teams, I think, get stretched pretty thin, actually, when you think about like the bugs that might be popping out. The bugs are not in the silicon. They're probably in the computing and like the UI and things like that, right?
I think it's in the VHDL. I think it's in the. Although
really?
no, this one has a custom ASIC. This one has a new custom.
I figured most of them are custom ASICs, right?
No. Most modern scopes are use a Xilinx Zinc, a Xilinx Zinc.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, most of them do. It's only.
How would you know, Dave? Would you ever open these things up or something?
Open these scopes up. Yeah. Just occasionally. No, this one uses a new, super whiz bang. In fact, it's, I believe, inside it's the ASIC, and then it's the processor and 2 ADC front end chips, and that's pretty much it. It's like everything's in the ASIC.
What is the ASIC in that case? So the ASIC is doing like
the ASIC is like the sampling subsystem. It's doing the FPGA. It's doing the FFT stuff, because this has insanely fast FFT, like 50,000 per second, and you can do it with all of the stuff turned on. It's just
so like the horsepower kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's the horsepower. Yeah. It's a 4.5 million waveform updates per second, which we're at now, right? Which is 4.5 times quicker than the Keysight one, which used to be which is 1 million waveform updates per second. I thought that was impressive. This one's 4.5 million.
Man, I have no need for this at all. Yep. Like this is, there are totally people out there that need this.
I know. Sure you need this in very niche, circumstances. It's like you don't need it for an everyday use scope. You're just probing some signals, right? Although the FFT mode in this is just beautiful. Like it's,
that was a chef's kiss, right? That's what that was.
That was a chef's kiss. It was like it's like a real spectrum analyzer, as opposed, if you've used the FFT function in your scope, you go, oh, this is not a real spectrum analyzer. It's just like they're kind of mediocre. You can see.
How many buckets do you get, right?
Signals.
That's what it really comes down to.
It's like, but this one looks and feels like a real spectrum analyzer, right? It's absolutely fantastic, and it'll do it, 50,000 FFTs per second, and it's just nuts, and it's got but it's all like I suspect it's in the ASIC, but I don't know how. Like, if they've got like state machines inside the ASIC, like you can have an
You
ASIC and
think?
then you can run state machines inside there. If you, it depends
I
how
don't
you
understand.
design it.
Wait,
I
so
don't
if you're
know.
triggering this though from the UI, what is? I just feel like a lockup is always at UI levels, like in the,
Yeah,
some kind of
possibly.
graphics engine, something like that.
Possibly. But
Yeah.
see, here's one of the weird things. Here's another. I think it's a bug, but it's more of like a system architecture thing, right? As I said, I can get 4.5. I've measured 4.5 million waveform updates per second on this scope, right? And then I start turning on, measurements. It's still, it's still fine. I can turn on, cursors. It's still the same update rate. It doesn't actually reduce it, right?
Cursors? Why would cursors do anything?
Because they take computational time.
The subsystem that's but they're totally no, come on, man.
Yeah.
That's totally different systems. The UI's got to be completely separate from anything that's doing like hard math like that.
Have you used a modern scope? No, right? The Keysight, yes, because Keysight have the custom ASIC and serial decoding and FFTs and all sorts of stuff is done specifically in the ASIC hardware. So you turn on all the measurements, doesn't slow it down. But in this case, right, I turned on all my vertical measurements, didn't slow it down. I turn on one horizontal measurement, frequency measurement, right? Boom! It drops from 1 million waveform updates per second to under 1,000 by turning on that one thing. And I go, what the heck's going on here?
Somebody forgot to push that into the fabric, I guess, huh?
There's something in the architecture there that causes like 3 orders of magnitude drop in waveform processing and update rate speed just because I turned on a horizontal measurement. And so they're checking
crazy
into it,
too.
they're looking into it, and it's
you think about like all the the functional testing you'd have to do, like every time you push a change to that kind of software, and like there's all like the UI testing, and I'm sure all the code code checking and linting and all that happens there. But then like you just think about like just the use cases of like, I don't know if they automate like knob turns. They must have some kind of tester that can do that sort of thing. But like just putting it on not a test stand, but almost like an audit test, right? Of just saying like, okay, we had to run through every single test with every single configuration in however much time you can.
Can't. Like you can't run it through every test, every permutation. You can't. You physically can't do it.
You could, but it would just take a long time, right?
I don't believe you could. I believe the permutations would be the same number as like chess or something like that.
Dave doesn't care about infinity. That's what we're hearing.
It's insane. I can come up with scenarios you wouldn't even think of. And, and then other people come up with scenarios that I can't even think of, right? Yeah. No, it's just absolutely nuts, right? Who would have thought that turning the baud rate control too quickly would have caused a complete system lockup, right?
That would be hard to test with a test
for that? Who would have even thought to test for that?
You wouldn't probably have a tester running when you're switching between them, and nor would you make that variable. Yeah, that's a good point.
Exactly. And there's tons of permutations when you go down the, it's turtles all the way down,
Turtles. Yeah. So, turtles everywhere.
Anyway. Yeah, so there was some discussion on the EV blog forum about this, and somebody said, I can't, I showed the video of it, the scope locking up and everything, and, this is ridiculous, you pay $20,000 for a scope, this is unacceptable, and, this would never happen if this was a car, for example. Would you buy a $30,000 car and you
wouldn't
expect
download
it to just work? And it's like, it's like, have you ever driven a Tesla? They're infamous for like just being like software, bugs and things locking up and doing all sorts of stuff, right? And it's like, no, you can't make that. Once the system gets so complex, it's like,
yeah.
Is it inevitable that you're going to have
ABS? Don't need it.
I don't know. There's. I'm sure there's system engineers that go, when I was a boy, and a guest which hopefully we're going to have soon on the podcast. He mentioned on that same forum thread that, this is because nobody thinks like an ASIC designer anymore because everything's FPGA. They can change it. They can push field updates and stuff like that. They don't have the same design mentality of, absolutely making sure the architecture and the testing is 100%, or as close to 100% as you can get.
The fear of God, like being pounded into you.
No, I'm spending $1 million on this ASIC. Like I'm spending He mentioned he's worked on ASICs which are $10 million, right, for a spin, And it's just, I'm sure we'll hear about this on an upcoming episode when we get him on. But it's just, like, he mentioned that, the ASIC designers have a different viewpoint because they know there's so much on the line. Whereas if I can just, push out a firmware update later, I can push out an FPGA update later, we can just fix anything in the field these days. Does it lead to a less strict,
like different mindset?
A different mindset, a more lapse rules, less testing. I think it probably does, right? And is that good or bad? I don't know. It gets a product to market quicker. It's like,
I mean, there is a cost. There's like a time cost to actually do that, to do that testing and crazy validation and verification and stuff.
And then how do you even know, right? So
I mean, this is past guest Claire Wolf talked about this a little bit about like like even if you did like completely random inputs, that's not enough stuff, or that's not always a realistic thing. So you have to do like some amount of random, but then it's a subset of all random possibilities and stuff like that. And it's nuts.
Then do you can you architect your stuff so that you can guarantee that, okay, this, subsection, if I turn this horizontal control over here to fast, there's no way it can lock up this sampling subsystem over here because they're totally separate. And from an architecture point of view, it's just not physically possible. So you don't have to test that. Is it possible to engineer?
I'm not even sure how those are possible right now, but I don't know. I don't know. Yep. I don't know about scopes. So I'm gonna bow out of that one.
and then, like, I just did a recent video on the Tech 2 series. That sexy little portable one that they've got, the new design.
Nope, didn't see that one.
Nope. Okay. Anyway, the Tech.
I will have to watch it.
Series 2. Tech Series 2. Very cute. They released this new form factor. It's slim, almost tablet-like. So it's sort of like a combination of a tablet bench scope all in one kind of thing. Anyway, they actually released that to market, went out. They've only, it's been 6 or 9 months now, and they've only finally gotten around to enabling the pattern generator on it. So they sent me the pattern generator actual update, right? So they sent me the pattern generator update. And so I installed that, and I actually did a video. It's on my second channel. You can watch it if you want. And so I installed that, and I was playing around with the pattern generator, and it's really cool and everything. But sure enough, found a bug, right? And so what was the bug on that? That's right. It at high baud rate settings, right? Like everything worked fine. Like I was generating a pattern from a CSV file, right? So I didn't, and like there was an Excel file that had data in it, and then I was using that to drive the pattern generator, and then and then I was simulating a UART, and that worked fine at low speed. Right? It worked fine at 9600 baud. It even worked fine at 1 meg baud. But when I took it up to 10 meg baud or megbits per second, it didn't work anymore. And I'm going, what the heck's going on? And I finally realized it died at about 8 meg or something, like 7 or 8 meg. And then I talked to tech, and they went, oh, yeah, oops, it looks like the pattern generator bit rate was not matching what we said it was, or something like that. So they fixed it, bam. But this is a release. They released the new firmware. Here's this pattern generator. It's an option that costs $500 or $1,000. I don't know.
Right.
And boom,
for the people who need it, they really want it, right?
Well, for people who need it, and I just found a bug straight away, and it was like something simple. Well, simple in quote marks, right? Like the bit rate, the actual output bit rate, I believe, didn't match what it told you on the screen or what you actually set. And it was like, I don't know, maybe they got a multiple wrong or something like that, and worked at low frequencies because there was enough margin. Higher frequencies, nope. Completely coming up.
It's interesting that bug bounties have never made their way into the hardware space ever.
No, have they? Does anyone got an example of one?
Never heard of one. I've never heard of one other than, I think because it's like probably the distribution is not wide enough.
Right.
Like you think about like a bug bounty on like an iPhone, like that is hugely impactful across the world versus like, I mean, how many scopes that you're reviewing?
Is it a software and hardware nerd thing? Because like, do hardware nerds go, I couldn't be bothered. I just want to use my scope. I don't want to systematically test for,
I think there's probably not enough volume to make it
enough
worthwhile for someone
volume
to
to
try and
make
do
it,
it full
yeah, because
time,
there's
right?
only X percent of people are going to be willing to put in the effort to do that sort of
Yeah,
thing. And if
exactly.
you're only
Right.
selling, 10,000 scopes as opposed to, 10
Right,
million
exactly.
iPhones,
Right,
then yep,
right. It's
right,
probably cheaper for them to just hire like integration testers in-house that
right,
run through this whenever they do a release or whatever, or
yep,
make the FAEs do it or something like that.
yep. And anyway, what I'm getting at is that like it's not one individual manufacturer that's bad at this. Like all of them, right across the board. Like
Yeah, it turns out
scopes are just
electronics are
bugs,
hard.
bugs, bugs.
It's hard to do. Hard
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
Yep.
Especially when they get more and more complicated. It's just
Right. Right.
so
And
absolutely
faster release
crazy.
times. They want to.
Yeah,
I think I'm sure every industry gets pushed by managers looking at it like being like, well, they release a new iPhone every year or whatever, and it's like, yeah,
mm,
that's a different echelon of
yeah,
development and then costs
right.
and everything like that.
Well, the latest Bryman multimeter that I sell, the BM 786, they've moved into shock horror. They've stepped into the 19 late 80s, early 90s,
Mm-hmm.
and they've decided no, we're going to put a flash firmware micro in our meter, right, so that we can
What
actually do
was
bug fix updates. Whereas
what was in there previously?
or most multimeters on the market have a one-time programmable chip in there. So once you buy that multimeter,
Oh yeah, one and
you
done, huh?
can't yeah, maybe you can get them to send you a new chip and you can desolder it and you can
Yeah,
solder
yeah,
in a new
right, right,
surface mount chip, right?
yeah,
Which they have done in
sure,
to
sure,
for certain people like myself and other YouTubers who do that. They will do that. For Joe Blog's customer, no, they're not going to send you. It's like
mm-hmm.
the multimeter you buy is the multimeter you are stuck with, right? Because it doesn't have a flash programmable thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
that's a good segue there. So, past guest of the show, uh, uh, ooh, Jay Carlson, little brain blip there. Jay released a blog post recently, and Jay's had some pretty prolific blog posts. But this was actually about the chip we've talked about on the show, the RV32 10-cent RISC-V
yep,
microcontroller. And basically, he did an analysis. He's like, you know what? This is actually not the best chip you can get for cheap, and here's why.
hey,
And so instead, I forget what the chosen part was, but it's a Cortex M0 um, that is on LCSC right now. And it's basically 48 megahertz as well. It's made by a memory manufacturer. I'll post this link to Dave so he has it as well in
yep,
front of him. Good analysis. I mean, like usual. I think the only thing, so like, and I think Jay wrote it kind of in an exasperated manner of like, why do people care about this other thing when there's existing parts fit the guidelines, the Puya PY32, whatever. Some of it is just the fact that it's RISC-V. Like I think that's some of the interest from my perspective, at least. So the
yeah, but it's also it's
CH32V003.
fairly powerful at 10 cents. But it's kind of novel that it's a RISC-V. But
Yeah, I think it's
and
yeah,
there are people who assume that because it's a RISC-V, the reason it's so cheap is because you don't have to pay the ARM royalty on it. So anyway, so how
right,
much is
right, right,
this?
right.
How much is this Cortex jobby? How much is this?
8 cents up to 74, depending on the configuration and quantities.
Yeah,
And there is a ton of different things. I think one thing that he points out that is a very good point is the different uh, packages. They're smaller than what's available otherwise. Right? I haven't seen on the RV32. I hadn't seen anything that's like so. Like the boards that you and I got, the test boards are like TSOP 20s, right? So
yeah.
pretty chunky, matches kind of like the STM8 and similar in similar parts that are out in the marketplace. And so they're trying to replace that sort of stuff, I
Yeah,
think.
well, I'm looking at the cheapest one. The only one that's 10 cents or cheaper is either the 8-bit or 10-bit. The 8 sorry, is
Eight
either the
pin, yeah.
8-pin or 10-pin
Right.
package. If you go higher than that, you start getting into
Right. Yeah. So then that
the
does limit
larger
you
chips.
on
Yep.
GPIO and stuff like that. And so,
Yeah.
yeah. And, Jay knows his stuff too. So like if people don't remember, Jay's been on the show, but also talked his articles about the two kind of like blockbuster articles, one about the amazing $1 microcontroller, the other one being where he was building Linux systems. So we'll link both of those in here as well.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
So it's the Poo, the PYU.
The Poo.
Poo is
PY.
is the manufacturer. Sorry, PUY is the manufacturer.
PUY. Oh yeah.
I'm staring at the data sheet now. Oh, it's
There's
an
an
A at the end? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Puya.
Puya. Yeah.
Puya. PY 32F002 for those playing along at home. And the data sheet is in Mandarin. Unfortunately.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I think the other thing that does potentially work in this part's favor is if it is in the ARM Cortex M0 Plus family, then you're going to just get more tools there as well, right? So Dave did a video about the Moon River, and like it is possible to use that, but that is the only tool chain that I've seen for it
River
so far. I thought it was MOUN.
Yeah, Moan.
That's how you spell moan. Moan is MOAN.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Is it? I don't know. I can't spell it.
I would still say MOUN would be moon to me. Like you. Anyways, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good. I mean, it's good. Jay's always very good at gathering data and this sort of stuff. So great article to check out. I think, it's interesting just seeing that there are other parts that are out there, like just the fact that like these are all targeting, I guess, toys. I mean, like, I don't know, like it's all low end kind of simple stuff, but like these things are everywhere, right? The STM32F030, like that part is everywhere.
Got it.
And the V100, or sorry, not the V100, the STM30 F100 family as well are like that's like what the GD 32s. I forget what the GD was. I just remember GD because I always thought it was like goddamn 32. Yeah. That was another one that cloned. That was like the pin for pin and register for register clone of the STM32 that's out there too. And like, these companies wouldn't be doing this unless there was such a large market that they're trying to just kind of nip at the heels of ST. And,
there's a huge market in China. Yeah. It's absolutely massive.
It's crazy. Yeah. So.
Yeah, you have to shave 5 cents off the cost of the chip. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. I'll do whatever it takes. Right. Yeah. Switch to a different Windows-based IDE. No big deal. Yeah. That's worth it for times however many devices and products I make. It's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. I still haven't decided what $100 worth of micros I'm getting from you.
Yeah, maybe you could split it at RISC-V and STM32, and then you could, maybe. I guess you can't use the $100 towards laser cutting, but I was gonna say you could make a whole product. You could make a whole product demo for $100.
Yep.
That actually would be kind of an interesting challenge, right? Would it be like, what is the coolest prototype you could build for $100? You only have to make one of.
Yeah, right.
But like the most complex thing that you could possibly build, and you have to like show receipts, so there's only $100.
Yeah. So you've got to get the PCB one off. You got to get it delivered. You got to get the the laser cut case delivered, the 3D printed thing delivered, and the parts delivered, and
that seems like there's like a contest in there waiting to happen.
Yep, there is. I will say you can assemble it yourself, so you can solder the parts yourself.
Sure. I think but I think the other thing too is you need to have like other rules of like you also have to charge for like electricity. You have to charge for like filament if you're going to do your own printing. I think you really it has to be like no labor costs, right? So but definitely like if you're assembling, you better put a spreadsheet together with all the solder paste you use too, right? I mean like to that level, I feel like you really because like it would really have to be optimized that way. Like maybe no. Did I say electricity? Maybe no electricity use.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
That's I think that's going a bit far.
Yeah. Well, then like, could you have your own laser cutter? Do you have an advantage then too? Right.
Right.
Because like but like wear and tear of the tube in the laser cutter. I don't know. You'd have to have.
No, I think you've got to outsource everything. I reckon you've got to.
Interesting.
Outsource everything. Are they right? Because basically. Everyone's got a soldering iron, right? So you can go, okay, I've got my soldering iron. I can, you can do basic assembly yourself, but you're not allowed to make the board yourself. You're not allowed to, 3D print yourself. You're not allowed to laser cut yourself.
Yeah. So
etc.
it's really just about finding like the cheapest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would probably be what would happen is you dig out a bunch of people that like had like their secret like low cost services.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Shipping might eat all that up though too.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
it
get like
depends on where you are.
yeah, that's tough. Maybe this is where the challenge is. Sounds like a
Mm.
Hackaday contest. I mean, we should call up the old Hackaday folks and see if they want to do that.
Right.
Or we could publish a yearly index of like what is the type of prototype you could build for $100. Like how they do like a basket of goods when they're doing like
Oh
economic
yeah,
measures
right.
and like inflationary stuff. So we could be like the amp hour $100 prototype index.
You can do all the work compiling that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Nah.
Okay. All right. What else we got on the list this week?
What else do we have on the list? There was speaking of, well, this is probably $100 by itself, but Google is selling a microcontroller development board. And it's canceled. Oh, okay.
I was going to say, isn't that cancelled? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they've terminated their RISC-V development project.
No, so this is actually
that's a different
they've been
one?
making a. Yeah, this is a different one.
Okay.
They've Google's been working on a chip TPU, so a TensorFlow processing unit. Yes, and then so basically this Coral is the name of that. And I had talked to someone about maybe coming on the show about it because it's interesting. Basically, it's like if you're trying to do like vocal processing and things like that, then having that in an FPGA is obviously very expensive in terms of silicon and power and programming time, whatever. And if you're just kind of making an inference engine that's doing the same stuff over and over again, I'm talking about, I have no idea what I'm talking about, but having that in an ASIC apparently makes it a lot easier for schlubs like me to do something like this, right? And so if you're doing like it has a camera on board, so if you're doing like object detection, doing that in custom silicon that is specialized for detecting images and edges and stuff like that. That's how you want to operate. Okay.
It's an edge tensor processing unit.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep. Cool.
And so Google, I think the Coral Group.
Hang on.
Oh, all right. Live delivery.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Sorry about that. That was the UPS guy. That was the brown shirt guy.
All right. Yes.
And the tracking was lacking, I must say, because you remember just before the show, I said, "Oh, I wonder there was a package coming." I thought, maybe it'll happen.
I've had such a crap experience with couriers lately. It's
really? Okay.
9 days to get a 2-day delivery to my house from Thief River Falls. It was very frustrating. 9 days.
DigiKey. 9 days for
it wasn't
DigiKey.
No, DigiKey handed off the thing fine. It was FedEx problem.
Oh,
they basically,
okay.
I had gotten an email that said like, "Oh, we're having weather problems in Memphis." Say, okay, that was a day. Yeah. What about the other 7 days? What happened, guys?
That screws up all the schedules. If you have unexpected events like that,
I don't care.
Screws up everything.
I'm looking out for number one, Dave.
I know.
One person dev shop,
Yep.
Stuck waiting for FedEx. I could have ordered another set of another set of parts. And anywho, yeah, I was very frustrated. FedEx
while you're waiting for that, it'd be interesting to know if you could use order the same parts again from DigiKey and then use another courier to see if they get there before the other.
I guarantee they would have.
Right.
How about this? So I got my laser cut parts in 2-day shipping from USPS from all the way across the country. So yeah, it would have been fine. Yeah, that would have been cool. Logistics. I am so grateful for the time we live in with logistics.
Oh,
and
it's
I
crazy.
cannot stop myself from complaining all the same. It's yeah.
No, I've seen massive changes over the last 30 odd years. It's just nuts.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just absolutely incredible. Yep.
So this board, the Coral board, is basically Coral, I believe, is the internal group at Google that's basically doing ASICs that can go into processing centers to do this kind of processing, and in server racks as well. But then they also decided to spin it out as I think thing, and now they also have a microcontroller version that can talk to it. It's got an NXP RT1117 on it, which is like one of the crossover chips, which is a beast on its own right because it's like a 500 megahertz chip. Like it's insane. So like this thing is really, really beefy, what it is. And I don't care. I'm not going to buy it because hell no. I barely trust Gmail these days that they're not going to just up and cancel that thing, let alone a microcontroller
so they
Google.
haven't actually canceled it. You're just anticipating them canceling it.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's exactly what I expect. Yeah.
Okay. Let's
call me jaded.
Let's note the date, the 13th of February.
Yeah.
2023. When will the announcement come that Google have canceled the Coral?
And like people are going to build they're going to build businesses around this sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what exactly can this Tensor processing unit do? What exactly does it do?
What does this say? What is it you say you do here? Well, I have 4 trillion operations per second with 8 precision. I think what it does, Dave, is basically it does wake words, it does image recognition. It's meant to do it at lower powered levels than you would do that in general computing, right? So you can also do like TensorFlow Lite. So if you look at companies like Edge Impulse, they operate on special or generalized processors, microcontrollers specifically, right? And that's kind of what they specialize in. And then you can also do things like PyTorch and TF Lite and all these other crap things that I don't understand. But basically, you're training a model, and then you're putting that model into an engine that can run that model, either a generalized computer or a specialized computer. I'm pretty sure that the Coral TensorFlow Lite Micro is the latter. That it's a specialized thing that runs it at a better clip and lower power.
Okay.
More better, exactly. And then there's a microcontroller in front of it as well.
Got it.
But man, like they really, like I'm really like the fact that they put a 500 megahertz processor in front of it is like that's what's crazy to me. Like I've used the RT line from NXP and they're beefy parts. They're really beefy. Yeah. Yeah.
I've been
I'm sure I'm not understanding this stuff either, but
I've been amazed by the Raspberry Pi. Like I've with the kids, I've just built one of those Retro Pi consoles, right, which uses a Raspberry Pi 3. You run the Retro Pi operating system, and it basically emulates every arcade, every arcade machine ever, made. Right? It not only old Atari 2600s and stuff, but it does PlayStations and it does all the right. It does them all. It emulates like dozens and dozens of different arcades, and it's like it's insane. Just in one little chip. How much does the Raspberry Pi 3 processor chip cost on its own? Like Well, if you could buy it,
you cannot buy that. You couldn't buy that
if
you handed Eben a bag of cash and signed every NDA. I'm pretty sure you still couldn't buy it.
Right,
and it would it'd be barrage
but
really.
Still, what is it like? How much does the board sell for before the
it's $35?
The price
nominally is $35. Yeah,
right. So the chip's like $10.
I mean, that's an old version
$15,
too.
Right? Yeah. It's an old version, but I'm just absolutely stunned. But gosh darn it, we tried to play a PlayStation game on it, and apparently the PlayStation emulation just isn't tight enough. It's not written well enough to actually execute on a Raspberry Pi 3. Gosh darn it! But it's just incredible how you can just emulate entire things with all these custom ASIC chips, and they just emulate it.
Yeah, but some of that stuff, if you look at just the horsepower of like some of the original, like even original PlayStation, like it's just dwarfed by everything that we have. Like I think about the embedded computing that I use for IoT devices, and like that.
Yeah, but
is stronger
the fact
than a lot
that
of
it
these
does
things.
a real time emulation of it is just like it's just nuts.
Dave, it's
on a general purpose
just
computer.
Software. What's the hard part? What's the hard? It's just software. Just software.
Anyway, yeah. So if you don't know, it actually is a true emulation because you download the ROMs. From what you do is you download the ROMs of the game. So it's actually the ROM image. So it actually simulates the processor. So it simulates simulates everything, and it just runs the original ROM. It's just nuts. So hats off to the people who've written this stuff, and hats off to the evolution of processor tech. Like it's just
How do your kids like retro games? I always wonder if like you're just
they
like
don't play
entranced by
modern
them.
ones. They do not play modern
Oh,
ones that
interesting.
look realistic. They will not play games
Mm.
that look realistic. So they're into
Interesting.
the Lego games and stuff, right? Anything that's Lego, right? So it's got to
Sure.
look Minecrafty. It's got to it's got to be
Uh-huh.
that pixelated look.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's been that's still like there's like a middle ground there. I'm saying like if you put them in front of like the ET game on the Atari,
All right. Okay. Well,
you would not, but
that's pretty bad. Yeah.
you put them in front of like Castlevania or Wolfenstein, like the
Wolfenstein. No, they enjoy that.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, they've
All
actually
right.
played it.
I guess that's not that. Well, it's still old. Dave, I'm having a hard time even realizing how old I am at this point. Like, I know I'm old. Like, I am
I
quite
downloaded.
close to being over the hill.
Yeah,
And
I spent a week downloading Castle Wolfenstein from a
huh.
BBS, from a dial-in
Back in the day.
BBS.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, that's the hard part. That's actually the hard part playing the games in the Jones household is to, you boot up a new game and Dave has to tell you about how he downloaded from
How I
BBS.
used to download it from BBS back in the day. Yep. Yep.
Here we
That is
go. Dad's
mandatory
got a
to
story.
listen to
Yeah.
the story before. Yeah. Oh,
That's great. I
boy.
like that. I
Yeah.
like that.
It's
You could just, you could start to record that into the RetroPie and you could just have that,
right.
play out of a, little PCM speaker, something like that. Oh man.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yep.
Well, we live in a time of abundance of processing for sure.
You want to know what else is in abundance? You're going to like this segue.
Cabling in the Mach E was it? I knew
He
it.
got it. He got
Yeah.
it. Oh, well done.
Line that one up, and I spiked that baseball right there, folks. That's since this is an evening of sports references, and yes, sports. I spiked that baseball.
Spiked a baseball? They spike baseballs, do they?
They don't spike baseballs.
I didn't think they did. Yeah, I thought I knew enough about American sports to know that wasn't a thing.
Oh,
yeah.
Yep. All right, so it has an extra mile of wires. Tell me about this.
This is the new Ford Mustang Mach-E. I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know what it looks like. I don't care. But
I have. It's nice. It's actually it's an SUV. It's like a crossover. You think Mustang, but they have a bunch of crossover model too. So that's interesting. Definitely hitting like that.
I see it.
Demographic,
So it's a big ass sedan. It's like it does look like a big ass Mustang with a big donk in the front. Even though it's got right, it's a is it fully?
I mean, Mustangs typically were
electric,
like a
right?
yeah, but it was like Mustangs are typically like muscle cars, right?
Yes,
and this is
right.
This
one looks like a muscle car, right? It's got like a big donk on the front, even though there's just little hub motors in the wheels.
Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing here. The Mach E. Maybe I'm.
Oh no, I am looking at the. Oh, what am I?
I know it's a crossover, man. It's got a 4-door. It's the 4-door. Well, it's got.
Yeah.
Does it have a 4th door? Yeah, it's got a 4th door. Yeah, so it's like a crossover now. Instead of like, it still kind of has like that muscle car look, but it looks like it like crossbreeded with a Tesla. No.
Yeah. Oh.
It's an SUV. Yeah.
No, it's a sedan.
It literally says SUV in the name.
Oh.
The new 2023 Ford Mustang Mach-E SUV.
Oh, okay. Right. All right.
It's in the title of the webpage.
Right. Well, the video on the page that we linked in is the muscle car. Like it just looks like a regular sedan muscle car. It's not an SUV. Anyway,
got it.
Whatever. It's got an extra mile. What is it? How much extra cabling? How much extra cabling in it? It's just nuts.
Yeah, I mean, harnesses are insane. I don't know if that would be an interesting episode if we had someone on here that was like, I don't know if they talk about it either. If you
I've been meaning for years because I have the full teardown of the original Golf EV. I think I've got the full Golf. 500
the VW Golf.
The VW Golf, I think, one of the original EVs is from like 10 years ago or something. Anyway, I've got the full teardown manual for it. Which itemizes every single part, every single connector, every single wiring
we talked
harness,
about that. I thought that was I thought it was a Beamer. I thought it was a BMW. No?
It could be a BMW. Yes, you might be right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a BMW.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that. Yeah, and that was crazy because we did an episode about that or sort of thing. Yeah,
we did. And I was going to do a video actually just going through and highlighting some of the amazing things in the teardown document, like how insane, like how the number of bomb items they go in a
Mhm.
car is just mind blowing.
Hmm.
It's just incredible. I think that even though it's a really ancient car, just the video would still be completely
Yeah.
pertinent today. It's just nuts. Anyway, yeah. So they've gone like. So how much is an extra mile of cabling? I don't know the exact.
In non-freedom units,
Yeah, non-freedom units.
uh,
Yeah.
5,200 feet. So divide that by 3. So like 1,800 meters, 1.8 kilometers. That sound right? Let's just look it up.
1.6. A mile is 1.6 Ks.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so 1.6K.
Yep.
That's not a small amount. That's a lot. But I'm guessing they're also talking about bundled, right? So like, or if you like laid them end to end with the extra, So if you have a bundle that's got 4 conductors in it, you're not gonna say like, and the total bundle is like
Right.
10 meters long.
Yeah,
You're not going
yeah.
to say I have 10 extra. You're going to, if you don't need 2 of those conductors, you're not going to say you have 10 meters extra. You're going to say you have 20 meters extra. So I'm sure it's also stuff like that where it's like they ran extra
probably.
conductors for whatever reason and they didn't use it.
Yep.
Or
But
maybe they went really
it'd be
crazy and they
very
unbundled the
interesting to see, like,
strands.
like a modern car. Like, are they using like a bus? Like, because doesn't the average car, even average internal combustion engine car, has like 200 processors in it? Like, it's
Sure.
nuts.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nuts. They've got a processor for everything. And are these all on a common bus? Like, how does it, I don't know.
Well, there's like the CAN bus, and then there's like a LIN bus,
and then
then
they separate the drive buses are going to be different because if you get a failure in the entertainment system, you don't want that to stop the car from functioning, right? You don't want the brakes to fail, for example. So they're totally
Let me
independent.
send you this is definitely an old photo. You can tell just from the photo itself, but here is a photo of an old harness that we can use as a reference point. I mean, just like the complexity of them is insane.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that came through.
Oh. There it is.
And like, if you ever win the contract to like build a cable harness,
wow,
it's worth so
there's
much.
a wiring harness board. That's a great photo. Yeah. We can use that as the thumbnail for today's video. That's a great.
We don't own that. We don't own that image.
Oh, come on. It should be.
We don't. You maybe put in a AI engine.
Right, like, put it into an AI generator wiring harness.
I made this so different now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, we use our.
I don't know if Midjourney knows what a cable harness is. Yeah.
Oh well, we'll try that after the show. But
we will. I'm sure.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, but
it's like art this week.
Anyway, for those who can't see it, it's like there's a production worker standing inside this giant 6-foot tall board, which is maybe 20 foot long or something, and it's got all these pegs coming out of it, and then it's got all the information written on the board, and then they use these loops to make the wiring harnesses. This is how they make them. They hand make them.
Yeah.
I assume they still hand make them these days. I mean, it's got to be hard for machines.
Oh, there's tons of automation, but it's not like. But I'm sure when you're testing it and building it out the first time, that first build is crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a sub part of the industry for sure. I mean, like it's. There's a lot of money in it, and like if you ever have to, I remember hearing about like someone having to replace a cable harness, like a animal got in there and started like gnawing wires and stuff like that. Yeah, and like they just said, well, we'll just have to like replace the whole harness, but it was like thousands of dollars because of obviously labor too.
And that's not something you'd keep at a spare parts place. Like you wouldn't keep an entire wiring harness. You'd probably have to special order that. So wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, and if there is anyone out there, I'm not sure it would be like a super interesting show, but I'm sure there's tons of challenges in there. If anyone knows someone in that space, send them our way. We'd love to hear from them.
Yep. Isn't there a dedicated Reddit? Isn't there a dedicated Reddit to what like wiring looms and wiring harnesses? I'm sure
I know there's that one that's like, well, there's like that one for like server cabinets.
Server cabinets and
it's like wiring porn kind of thing.
Something like that. Yeah.
Right. But that's probably different. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't think you ever like see, like, I feel like when you're in a server cabinet, everything is visible and you need to kind of like troubleshoot it. But like when you look at like how a wiring harness goes through a car, it's always like tucked into channels.
Can't see them. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
You just can't see them.
That's also why it's so expensive to replace them. I feel like if you'd
have to take half the car apart to.
Yeah, exactly. Like all of the finished fiddly bits that would be, crazy. So,
and they've got so many things branching off them. So it's not like it's not like there's a wiring harness with just two ends on it. No, there's probably 20 things branching off from it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah, it's a problem. Geez, I really wouldn't. I would hate to work on a modern car. It's just I don't know how they do it.
Well, you wouldn't be doing it yourself. That's the
thing. Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, nuts. It's a very complex machine for sure.
There you go.
We'll not be building our own. How's your electric vehicle going?
It's great. I've done. I've had it for 2.5 years now, and I've done 40,000 kilometers in it, I think.
Oh, well, yeah.
So it's actually quite a lot. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Love it. Yep. Yep. It's still almost entirely solar powered, mostly.
Oh, great.
So, yeah.
Great. I posted something on the subreddit about. Oh man, we have so many things here. Enphase has a new bidirectional EV charging.
I saw that, and their marketing on that tweet is like suits almost all EVs. And I'm going, no.
No, you have to have that built in, right? You have to have that thing where it can repower the house.
You've got to have the vehicle to load, it's called.
Yeah,
you've got to have the vehicle to load capability. And no, not all EVs have that. Although I haven't.
Vehicle to house, V2H. Or V2 grid.
Well, it's pretty vehicle to load, vehicle to grid, vehicle to house.
Got it.
It's all the same thing. It basically you need to be able to export energy from the car. Power has to come out of the connector, not just in. It's kind of a big, it's kind of a big deal. So
I wonder what the interlocks are like on that too. Like, could you? I mean, like I know they have like plugs on them. Like
in
I saw
theory,
like
it's
F-150.
possible to redesign. Oh God, I had somebody email me. I can't remember the exact details.
Always how it starts.
Oh. And he emailed me and said, "Oh, look, I want to bypass the things on my car. Like I've got an EV, and I want to export. I want to power like loads from it and stuff." Somebody actually emailed me about this, and I'm going, "Dude, like, don't." And he goes, "Oh, I know how to fuse it properly," and like I'm going, "Dude, the amount of energy in that pack, just don't." Oh, he goes, "No, trust me."
It's really too bad. It's really too bad that Batman 2 was otherwise a terrible movie because, like, when at the end the bad guy gets like completely like roasted by Selena Kyle.
I don't.
If
remember
you know,
that.
you know.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going through the amount of energy in that. It's like I would so not want to touch it. Like no.
Well, we are well on record that you and I are not the people to do that sort of thing. But some people are just like, it's a big deal. It's just electricity.
Yeah.
And like some of them are like legitimate. I feel like, who knows about that guy, but like some of them like actually just kind of have it in hand. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
Good for you. That's not for me.
Okay, great. Hats off. But I didn't want a bar of it. I didn't want to recommend anything. I just said, dude,
exactly.
Do it,
Right.
Anyway, speaking of solar-powered cars, the Aptera went bankrupt. I've done a video on the Aptera.
Oh, what a loss. Oh, no one could have seen this coming.
Who would have thought that a very ordinary EV with solar panels strapped on the roof that cost $250,000 would have failed? Who would have predicted that? Oh,
it sounds like they were powered on dreams, and the dream died. The dream died. And
it's like, so I did a couple of videos on that, and it's like, sorry. Oh, sorry, no, not the Aptera, the Lightyear Zero. Sorry, I was completely wrong.
Lightyear Zero.
The Lightyear Zero is this ordinary looking suburban, ordinary looking 4-door sedan, but it's covered in solar panels, and it cost like $250,000. And there was nothing special about it. Not like it was super performance. Yeah, it had a very slick drag coefficient and stuff, but whoop-de-doo. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, my EVs, like you can buy one for like 1/5 of the price, 1/8 of the price, right? For a similar performance car. It's just crazy because they whack solar panels on the roof. And anyway, they've gone bankrupt. They're thinking about restructuring to only...
Restructuring. Bring in the MBAs.
Because they said they're probably going to try and produce the... No, their first announcement was that they're going to stop producing the Lightyear Zero and they're going to produce the cheaper, which was the $250,000 one, and they're going to actually focus on making the $50,000 like the much cheaper Lightyear 1.
Oh, right, because that's easier. Yeah, that's the easy part.
That's
Is
much
making it
easier.
cheaper.
Sure, that's
Yeah,
much easier.
yeah,
So
right,
I
right.
actually tweeted when they made that announcement. I reckon they'll go bankrupt shortly, and they didn't even last a week before they announced
Yeah.
bankruptcy. So I totally
Yeah.
called that one.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy just to switch from a $250,000 low volume production
Right,
car to
right.
a high volume
So
production.
the high production is really easy too. Bootstrapping up, yeah.
Yep.
Good
Piece of
lord,
cake.
yeah.
Bloody hell. It's
Mhm.
like, come on. Oh, how does that well, I guess there's rich people who just want to say, I've got a solar powered car, right? And they're willing to pay $250,000 for it. I don't know.
Well, if they
I don't
are,
get it.
if those people would also love our solar powered sponsorship of the amp hour. So please get in touch if you'd like to sponsor the solar powered amp hour.
How would
Less
that
than
work?
$250,000, but more than 50,000.
Yep.
I don't know, Dave. I'm just trying to get free money.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's milk that let's milk that solar cash cow.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's milk that eco-friendly cash cow. Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There has to be a government subsidy in it somewhere. Come on, you're in America.
100%.
There's got to be a subsidy somewhere in America.
I'm sure there's subsidy, but no, that sounds like a European thing to me personally.
Right? Okay.
There's no, there's just corporate greed here. There's not so much on the the subsidy side of things. I do think, like there's all this greenwashing stuff. I think I maybe mentioned on the show, but I was talking to a buddy who I was telling him about this IoT hard trash can demo that I built, right, for my work.
Oh yeah, right.
And he's like, oh yeah, actually I know someone who's doing that. And not only, and they're doing like the operation side of it. And, he was like, oh yeah, maybe they would like this sort of thing that I had built. And, but not only are they like selling the service to a municipality, right? They're like actually like being able to like monitor trash cans so the trucks don't have to go out as often.
Yeah.
Then they're able to sell the fact that there are fewer trash trucks on the road for like these like super squishy green credits. And I just like,
oh god, okay.
I don't know where this stuff's going. There's a Last Week Tonight episode, the John Oliver show, where they talk about these credits, and they just seem so scammy to me. And I'm sorry if people.
Is it Wendover Productions who did a video on carbon credits or a scam?
Too?
It was Wendover. It was one of the. I think it was Wendover.
Probably did something like that. But I always think of the John Oliver thing. I'll link I'll look for the Wendover one too. Okay. But yeah, it just seems like these fun notes, like it just doesn't seem like there's nothing behind them. There's no like enforcement. There's no people are just selling like literally thin air,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Carbon, here we go. Yes, it is the Wendover Productions video. I sent you a link.
Okay, I'll link that in. Yeah. And I don't. Yeah, no. I just feel like there's going to be some kind of reckoning in the next couple of years about it because. Yeah, it's just I got bad feels from it. You know what I mean?
Well, another thing that's a scam is the ESG thing, the environment. Well, I don't know what it stands for. The environmental. Companies are supposed to have this environmental score, and it's this. It's this. Yeah, and if you don't have a low enough or a high enough score or whatever, then you don't get money from BlackRock or you don't get money from somebody or JP Morgan or somebody like that, right? And it's complete bullshit. It's complete. Scam. Yep.
It's interesting. Yeah, I did. I think I heard a podcast about. I didn't recognize the acronym, but there was a podcast about whether that is kind of scammy or whether it's whether it's driving behavior. That sort
ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance score. So your company is rated on your environmental score, your social activism score, and your corporate governance score or something. And it's just it's complete bullshit, and it's failing epically. Apparently, it's going down the toilet.
Virtue signaling.
It's basically virtue. Yeah, they rate you on your virtue signaling ability and how many carbon credits you buy and all that sort of wankery. So
I mean that kind of thing would drive and that's the thing. I feel like all these companies have these mandates to do something, right? And they're trying to reach out and they're like, oh, look, this guy won't cut down his forest in the middle of Pennsylvania.
Right.
Okay. But, and they kind of feel like they have to, and okay, they're all going to do it. But then it's just
so they got sucked into all these programs and things that people offer, and.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What was the last thing? Speaking of carbon credits and the lack thereof, I will be flying to Germany, which is not a small amount of carbon. But I will be at Embedded World, and past guest of the show, Saber from PCB Arts, they will be doing a meetup there on the Wednesday night of that event. And so, if people want to go and meet Saber and see the Vapor Phase 1 and hang out with other nerds like yours truly,
cool.
Sign up. So, and if other people are at Embedded World, love to hear from you as well. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm on a sprint.
Yep.
Until then.
Are you doing anything over there, or are you just going for the duration of the show?
Just the show. Yeah.
Bugger. So this is a corporate junket.
What are the other options?
You're doing it off your own bat and you're paying for it yourself.
Oh yeah, no, this is corporate. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to like showcase. I'll be at the Zephyr booth, showcasing like I was last year.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a really good show, so I highly recommend it. If people haven't been, I'm not sure. Like if I was advising consultant Chris whether to go, I don't know. But if I was I was recommending to like Chris at Past Job, and I could convince Chris at Past Job to go. Yeah, I think it's one of the best trade shows to go to. If you're going to go to any trade show,
I would totally love to go, but it's on the other side of the planet.
Oh, so far,
it's kind of
so far
expensive, far. Yep.
30
hours of travel just to and from. Anyway, there will be a prize for the sad Chris meme photo. So if you can get a photo of sad Chris sitting on the booth,
you got to put up or shut up, man. You gotta,
right?
You have to actually list the prize. I feel like you never really do that.
I've got a list of prize. It's got to be like a free multimeter or something for sad Chris. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's the thing. I'm full of joy. You couldn't catch a bad picture of me if you tried.
Oh, come on. Happened to poor Keanu. Happened to sad Keanu.
Sad Keanu eating a taco. Yeah.
Yep.
You might catch me actually. The vendor solutions are, the food solutions are not great.
The food always sucks at trade shows. Yeah. It's the worst. Like I sometimes I just like starve myself. I just go no.
Yeah, he's got to bring a box full of protein bars.
Yeah, protein bars or something. Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
They're always awful. So.
Yeah, I mean pretzels at least in Germany, so that's nice.
Okay.
All
right.
I think that was the only other thing on the list that I wanted. Obviously, lots of great links from Unmanaged 16. Once again, thank you for that.
Yes, thank you very much. But often we don't get around to going through the links because we just waffle.
There's a lot of great stuff
shit.
in here. Yeah, we got to get our stuff in too.
Those who don't know, we don't plan the show. That there are no notes. Oh. It's just we just press record and go, "Welcome to the Amp Hour," and then I don't know.
Sometimes not even that. Yeah,
something comes out. Yeah. Yep. Hang on. Has Tesla dropped the AM radio? Have they?
This is what grabbed your eye, Dave.
Yes, AM radio. Well, I bet you can't even remember the introduction of AM stereo.
AM stereo. No, I don't think
AM stereo was a thing, dude. It was a thing.
When did that happen?
Oh, 80s sometime.
Early?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I actually had an AM stereo receiver.
How about this? I would not have been in charge of the radio dial at that age.
Hang on, I am live Wikipedia in this. I could have catch mid to late 80s. There you go.
Yeah, I was on. Yeah, yep. Same response from me.
Yep. I am stereo. It was all the rage for about a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. Anyway,
this is not what they're getting rid of in.
Aren't they?
In the Tesla, but
all right. Yeah. Okay.
It's crazy too because you think of like the chipsets that are tuning into FM, they have AM. Like I guess it's probably just the space for the antenna and stuff too to like have it.
Well, they're different architectures too. Like not only do you need the well, you've got to have the rod antenna, right? You've got to have the the ferrite rod for the AM and everything. Like I don't think you can get away with it. Can anyone do a AM receiver without the ferrite rod? I don't think so. It's such low frequency that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Here we go. EDN, fully automotive, AM/FM radio receiver IC reduces count by 40%. So like there is like there are chips that do both, but yeah, I think it would be the other stuff that's in. Like you're right. I think the antenna is probably much bigger, so like that's probably not worth it to Tesla. But I'm pretty sure the chipset is like super commoditized at this point. Like you can buy off the shelf.
I'm sure.
Like receivers that are.
Yep.
They just pump that stuff out. So.
I haven't looked at an AM/FM chipset in 25 years or something. That's how long.
Today is that day.
All right. Chip of the week.
Bingo.
AM/FM transceiver chip.
This article I sent you was from 2008, so I don't know if chip of the week is really it, but you know. Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah.
All right, we should end the show though. End
we should.
of show. Now?
Yes.
Ish.
Ish.
All right.
Catch you next time.
See you.